I don't care what they say. I didn't kill Romeo. I was walking through a dark hall, and I opened up this door, and there were all these men playing poker. And I said, stick 'em up, get 'em up, all the way up, stick 'em up. This is a stick-up. Here we go.
What's up, Hanz family, and welcome to this video. This is one of my first Halloween videos, not Hanzween. Hanzween is coming up quick, but this is a little bit of a video to get you in the mood. This is my version of Pennywise, and I am so excited to tell you guys that this is going to be sponsored completely by Mehron. I have been using their products on my channel for years. You guys know that I love their body paint, so I'm so honored and grateful to be sponsored by them in this video, and I can't wait to show you guys how I achieve this creepy Pennywise look that's a little bit of my own spin. If you want to grab any of the products to create this look, I was able to partner with Amazon through Mehron to give you guys a custom storefront, which will have every single product I use in this video all in one place, so it's super easy for all of your Halloween needs. That will be linked in the description box below, so make sure to check that out, and let's get to it. Alright, so we're going to start out this tutorial with a bald cap. I'm grabbing this latex bald cap, which is from Mehron. It's pretty easy to put on, just put it on your head and see kind of where you need to cut it just to fit your head a little bit more. You then just need to adhere it down. I'm using Prozade, but you can use any adhesive. You could use spirit gum, you could even use liquid latex. Make sure your ears are poking out and you're ready to go. Now, I'm a little too scared to see the movie, but I did look up some really great reference pictures. It's always good to start out with one. I love this one of his big smile with all those creepy teeth. So we're just going to use a pencil and map out where the mouth is going to be, because we don't need to put white paint all over our face. We're just going to be painting the mouth in later. Picking up the Clown White Mehron paint, which is a cream-based paint. I'm just using a flat brush to stipple that all over my face and really press it into my eyebrows that I did glue down before. You also want to bring that down onto your neck and chest, because this will act as the base of our little ruffly color. Since the paint we used doesn't dry down, we do want to powder it just so that it sets in place. This is the Mehron Color Set Powder, which is perfect because it doesn't have any pigment to it, so it just will set any color that you have down already. This is the Intense Pro Pigment Palette, so many P's in there. This is in the shade Earth. It was perfect because it has some grays and browns. We want to hollow out Pennywise a little bit, give him these really intense cheekbones. And between the steps of adding down the shadow, I do take more of the cream paint just to add a little bit on top so it looks a little more under the skin. Do the same with the other areas of the face. I'm taking the gray with a little bit of brown mixed in just to get right under my brow bone and starting to add where the little wrinkles of the face are going to be. Since he has this big huge smile, his face would be kind of wrinkled up, his skin pulling upwards. I mean, he's a pretty creepy looking dude, so we gotta add lots of dimension all around his face. When going on top of these whites with these shadows, you want to go in with a very light hand. Keep your application soft. It's always better to have to add more than to try to take away. With the smile lines, I draw those out and add a ton of shadow going underneath because the skin would be pulling upwards, causing a shadow coming downwards. And if your lines look a little too dark, you can always use a white eyeshadow on top just to make them look a little less stark. Dipping into the maroon shade that's in the palette, I'm going on top of the lid and underneath the eye as well, blending that outwards. I'm keeping the application kind of patchy because I really want this to look distressed. Add a little bit of black in there, just right around the outer corners of the eyes, and keep darkening as you go. Since I'm making this a little bit of my own version, I did add a little bit of a wing liner in there, just because I am going to throw some lashes on Pennywise in a little bit. And I'm just doing this by wetting my brush a little bit and dipping into the black shadow, and it works great to create a liner. Since he's angry, adding in some of those really angry kind of brow lines and darkening the skin right underneath. And now very lightly with just a little bit of water in the gray shadow, I'm drawing on where those big intense eyebrows are. When you're drawing the other one, make sure to keep looking back at the first one you drew so that they're pretty symmetrical. And if they're not perfect, that's okay. Eyebrows are sisters, not twins. Dirty up the top of the head a little bit. In the original makeup, he has kind of this crackling texture on the forehead, so I just wanted to emulate that with the eyeshadows and the cream paints on top to give this really textured look. And now we're going to do my favorite part, which is the mouth. For the entire mouth, I am going to be using Mehron's Paradise paints, which are a water-activated paint. I've used these so many times on my channel. You just add a little bit of water, swish your brush around, and it gets nice and creamy to create a really opaque pigmented color. I like to start with the teeth first, just so that I know where they're going to be in the mouth. I'm starting out with the bottom teeth and making sure that when my mouth is just closed and resting, the teeth will still kind of show. But I am shying away from drawing over top the line of my lips in the middle, because that will kind of ruin the illusion of our teeth actually being there. Since they are layered, I am drawing quite a few, and some of these are going to act as the teeth behind and some as the teeth that are going to pop forward. Now that we have a general idea of where the teeth are going to be, I take some red Paradise paint from Mehron, and I am just going to outline where the lips are going to be. His upper lip is very thin, and then when it comes to the bottom, it's really thick. Pick up your black paint and start darkening the outer corners of the mouth. This is where the mouth is opening really deep. And while I still had that red paint out, I wanted to draw his iconic little red lines that he has going up. Kind of like the eyebrows, draw out your first one, then look back at the other one to make them as symmetrical as you can. I even used the little eye bags that I drew out as a map to see where I should draw it. Paint on your little red nose in the shape that he has. It's not quite circular, it kind of comes down a little bit. And his nose is blended upwards, so while the paint is still a little tacky and wet, I'm using a little bit of a fluffier brush just to kind of blend that into the white, so it looks like a very softened edge. Darken up the base of the nose. You can do this with just a little bit of black body paint. And now on to actually defining the teeth. With a very small brush, you can go in between all of the teeth and start to really shape out how you want them to look. I even added a little bit of red to the black because I felt the black was just a little too dark for the mouth, so then I turned it into a more dark red. And if you're doing this at home, make sure you're hydrating and eating still. I had to have a little pickle break. Back to the eyeshadow palette, add a little bit of a wrinkle right near the mouth, but not quite at the edge of it, because this is where our skin would kind of be pulling backwards too. And the eyeshadow palette is great because we are going to use it to completely shade out the teeth. I'm using mainly brown here with a little bit of the black in the palette, and I'm defining between each tooth and mainly putting a shadow on the top because a shadow would be cast down from the mouth onto the teeth. This is also great to show where the teeth are behind the other ones, because the ones that would be in the back would be decently dark, so you add quite a bit of brown shadow to those. Now with white paint, I'm going to add a few highlights to the teeth, mainly to the ones that would be popping forward, not so much the ones behind. Onto the chest, still using eyeshadow. This is just to sketch out where we want the ruffles to be. You can look at a reference picture or just start drawing some squiggly lines of how ruffles would look. And I wanted them to have a layered element to them, so I went with about 3 layers of different ruffles. So here we're going to be using gray shadow mixed with a tiny bit of black, and every ruffle that goes downwards, let's say in a U shape, that's where you want to add a line of shadow, because as the fabric dips downwards, a shadow would go down into that part. Especially because then as the fabric goes up onto the top of the ruffle, that would stay light. So it's really just thinking about how this fabric would look if it was real. You also too then would add a shadow underneath each ruffle that would be layering on top of the other one. I even darken around my neck a little bit just to really sell the idea that this is a different entity than my body, and grab that white cream paint again to show where the very tops of the fabric would be with a little bit of highlight. You can see that those highlights really bring the entire thing together. Since this is dimensional itself, it obviously would be laying on top of our skin too. So since I kept the body kind of my skin tone with just a little bit of a lighter white, I took the brown and black from the palette just to show that the ruffle is hanging on top of my skin. I finished up with a couple of little highlights on the mouth and the nose. Now throwing on the wig that I'm going to use for this look. I kept it towards the back of my head just because he has so much of his forehead showing, and I cut little pieces off to give that really intense widow's peak. Add a bit of mascara and lashes if you desire, and throw in your contacts to complete the look. And here is the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you again to Mehron and Amazon for sponsoring this video. I'm really excited to show you what I have in store for you for Hanzoween, which starts very soon. Make sure to check out the link in the description so that you can pick up any of the products to make this look. And I will see you guys in the next video. I love the fuck out of you. Bye!